I am Christelle from Diabetes Strong, and in this video, I'll be talking about Walmart's ReliOn Insulin. I'll go over what types of insulin are available from the Walmart ReliOn brand, what they cost, how they work, and overall, if they're a good option for us. Living with diabetes is expensive, and if you live with insulin-dependent diabetes, you don't really have a choice, you just have to pay up. I live with insulin-dependent diabetes. I've lived with type 1 diabetes since 1997, and I have fairly good insurance. It's expensive, but it's fairly good insurance. With that insurance, I pay $60 per prescription for my long-acting insulin, and I pay $35 per prescription for my rapid-acting insulin. The rapid-acting insulin is only that cheap because I choose to use a manufacturer coupon, and that way my cost gets pulled down a little bit. But not everyone has access to good insurance, and not everyone can pay those copays. So here in the US, a lot of people are turning to Walmart insulin when they find that their prescriptions are becoming too expensive. Walmart carries different types of insulin, and what makes it so attractive is predominantly the price, and a lot of them do not require a prescription. Walmart has been carrying several different insulins for a while. So first one is insulin R, or regular. Then you have the NPH, insulin N, and then finally a 70-30 mix. And what makes those insulins so attractive is that they do not require a prescription, and they cost about $25. As of July 2021, Walmart also started to sell their ReliOn NovoLog product. So that product do require a prescription, and it's a little bit more expensive. A vial costs you $73, and a box of 5 pens will cost you $86. But before you run out and get your Walmart insulin, you should really spend some time understanding how the different insulin works. Because insulin is not just insulin. They do work differently. Walmart's ReliOn Regular insulin and NPH are both what's called synthetic human insulins. So all of us who were diagnosed with diabetes before the year 2000, most of us had at one point used synthetic human insulins. So it's the older ones. The ReliOn Regular insulin is also what we call short-acting insulin. So that's a type of insulin that you'll take several times a day to cover all of your meals. It used to be our only option for managing blood sugars around meals. But compared to the rapid-acting insulin, the fast-acting insulins that we have available today, it does work a little different. So first of all, it stays in the body way longer. It can stay in the body up to 8 hours, and it doesn't really peak until 4 hours after injected. So if you don't eat every 3 to 4 hours while taking multiple injections of the regular insulin, you are at very high risk of having low blood sugars. So let's just compare that to the modern insulins such as your HumaLog, your NovoLog, your Pedra, because they do work a little differently. So the big difference is that those insulins will enter the bloodstream within 15 minutes of you doing your injection, and they'll only stay in the body for 3 to 5 hours. That's a big difference here because that does mean less risk of low blood sugars. And you don't have to feed the insulin every 2 to 3 hours. And then we have the ReliOn NPH insulin, also called intermediate insulin. So that used to be the only option we had for background insulin. So remember, we have our background insulin, and then we have what covers for meals if you use multiple daily injections. So NPH, just like the regular insulin, doesn't quite compare to the modern insulins. It is different. NPH insulin only stays in your systems or in your body for anywhere between 10 to 16 hours. So it's one of those insulins that you do have to take twice a day to make sure that you cover your full 24 hours. It also takes several hours for the NPH to become active in the bloodstream, and it usually peaks about 4 to 6 hours after injected. So this is a little different from a lot of the modern long-acting insulins. So if you look at your Trasheo, your Tresiba, your Lantus, your Basaglar, most of these last longer in the body, and they have very small peaks. The fact that NPH does peak can make it very challenging for some people to keep their blood sugars level, and for some that means that they have to keep a very rigid eating schedule. And then we have the ReliOn 70-30. So that is a mixed insulin, so it's pre-mixed, and it is 70% NPH, and it's 30% regular insulin, all in one shot. If your doctor has recommended a mixed insulin for you, you just have to remember with the ReliOn is that it will enter your bloodstream about 10-20 minutes after injected. It will peak about after 2 hours, and it will stay in your body up to 24 hours. And of course, because the mixed insulin is a mix of NPH and regular insulin, it has the same downfalls as those two have alone. But despite some of these downfalls, I know plenty of people in the diabetes community who really likes using NPH or regular insulin. So it's a choice again. So you have to figure out what works for you, I guess what works for your wallet as well, and make the choice that's right for you. And then we have ReliOn NovoLog. So ReliOn NovoLog is manufactured for Walmart by Novo Nordisk, and it's similar to their own Novo Nordisk branded NovoLog. It's a rapid-acting insulin that can be used for meals as well as for corrections. So once injected, it starts to work in the body within 10 to 15 minutes. It generally peaks about after an hour and will stay in the body 2 to 4 hours. Alongside Humalog, this is the type of insulin that's most often used in insulin pumps. So I've used both Humalog and I've used NovoLog in the past, and for me, they work exactly the same, so I wouldn't have an issue switching between the two. As I mentioned, some of the ReliOn insulins do not need a prescription. Some of them do though. So if you're looking to buy the ReliOn Regular, the ReliOn NPH, or the 70-30 mix, you do not need a prescription. However, you won't find the insulins just out on the shelf next to the painkillers. You'll just have to go to the counter, talk to the pharmacist, and ask for whatever insulin you want. However, if you want the ReliOn NovoLog product, you do need a prescription. So you will have to get a prescription from your doctor if you already have a NovoLog prescription. So not for the ReliOn, but just a general NovoLog prescription. You do not need a new prescription. You can just take that prescription to the pharmacist at Walmart and they'll switch it out for the ReliOn product. And when it comes to the ReliOn NovoLog, there's no reason to reach out to your insurance company. So according to Walmart's website, it'll be the same price whether or not you use insurance or not. So a little word of caution here. Synthetic human insulin and the newer insulin, the analog insulins, do work differently, as I've talked about. So it's really recommended that you do see a medical professional before switching between the two, just so you can get the proper guidance on how to use them. Unfortunately, we have had some very sad cases here in the US where people have switched from analog insulins over to human synthetic insulins without completely understanding how it works in the body. Insulin is dangerous if not used right, so please, be careful. Thank you so much for watching this video on ReliOn Walmart insulin. I hope you found it helpful, and hopefully the information that I provided here can help you make an informed choice on whether or not ReliOn is a good option for you or not. If you like my content and would like to see more from me, please click that subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications so you'll be informed whenever I post new content. And if you like this video, if you found it helpful, please click that like button and leave me a comment below. Thank you so much for watching.